Hello, everyone. If you are in the nonprofit sector, you must be dealing with lots of fund development, funding diversification, financial risk management type of things, right? So it's a big challenge to raise necessary funds to deliver your services and ensure a sustainable and growing organization. Now, today I'm going to highlight a couple of tools or a couple of channels that you can use for fund development and funding diversification. So there are 6 areas that you need to focus. The first one is individual donors, right? So you need to make sure that you have enough number of individual donors who are continuous, so who are repeating individual donors. So this is really difficult to achieve, but on the other hand, it's essential for the sustainability of your organization. We don't suggest you to rely only on individual donors or any of the other financial channels. We want you to diversify your funding structure so it will become more resilient, more flexible, and more sustainable. So the first funding channel is individual donations. The second one is corporate sponsors. It's slightly different than the individual donors because for individual donors, the primary motivation is to do something good, right? So the value, it's an exchange, it's like business. Even in the nonprofit sector, the donations, the fundraising activities are kind of business. So you give something and then you expect something in return. And the something in return from your side is financial contribution. For individual donors, the value you offer is the impact you offer to the society. So by making individual donations, they become part of your cause, they become part of your mandate, which is an amazing feeling, right? So it can be a church, mosque, or a charity, food bank, shelter. It doesn't matter. People make individual donations because in return, they feel good. So for corporate sponsors, it's not necessarily the same feeling. Of course, it's in addition to what they will get, but they also want visibility. So this is the value that you can give in return. Visibility, social credibility, recognition in the society, and most of the businesses, they have corporate social responsibility on their plate, and you can be their solution partner. So they can fund your cause and you can help them to achieve their organizational corporate social responsibility projects. But in addition, you also need to offer them some sort of visibility which will contribute to their marketing and sales efforts. So for corporate sponsors, your strategy must be different than your strategy for individual donors. The third one is grant opportunities, and it's a very wide subject, right? So there are government grants, there are private sector grants, and if you are in North America, there are federal grants, provincial grants, municipality grants, and if there are any other government structures horizontally, like one ministry, they may have grant opportunities, and another ministry may have other types of grant opportunities. But as a summary, the grant opportunities is the third financial channel that you can leverage and that you should focus on. And the fourth one, which is relatively new in the nonprofit sector, is social enterprise. So social enterprises are not different than any other business. They are established to generate revenue, to make money for your organization, not for the pocket of the owner. That's why we call them social enterprise, but they are still enterprises and they operate with similar logics and systems with other businesses. So they generate revenue for your nonprofit organization or charity. And in the long term, it should be in your plate, it should be in your funding portfolio for various reasons. It gives you a continuous revenue. It's flexible. You can spend that money as you wish. There are no reporting requirements. It's not just for projects. You can use social enterprise generated revenue for your operations, which is critical, right? Because we all know that when you get government grants or any type of grant, there are some restrictions, but the money that comes from social enterprise is more flexible. So you can spend it for your operations and administrative expenses. Okay, so those are the 4 primary channels. The following 2 is kind of combination of the others. The 5th one is crowdfunding. Okay, so it's basically very similar to individual donations, but the difference is this time you're not targeting individuals in your neighborhood or in your operational area. You target individuals globally, right? So someone in Australia or Turkey or India may like your cause and contribute to you financially. And this is a big market. So every year, over $20 billion is donated through crowdfunding channels. So why shouldn't you benefit from this? And it's not only just having a post on a crowdfunding website. It's more than that, right? So you need to use internet and social media channels wisely and effectively to generate some revenue for your nonprofit organizations. You need to have stories. You need to touch people's feelings and hearts and convince them to make a donation to your nonprofit organization or to become your corporate sponsor. So crowdfunding is definitely one of the financial channels you need to treat separately because it has its own rules and regulations, which are not that difficult, but continuity is the key word. And finally, financial resources through partnership, especially for the startup or small nonprofit organizations that don't have the capacity, financial or operational or human resources capacity to deliver any kind of project, but has a passion, has a capacity to grow. In this case, it's safer to partner with other organizations, okay? So you may not be eligible for a big grant, but if you partner with other organizations that are eligible for the financial resources, then you can start generating some revenue for your nonprofit organization. Even for the big organizations, you need to diversify your funding structure, okay? So think it as a vehicle, okay? So is it safer to drive a bicycle or motorcycle or a truck with 16 tires, right? So 16 tires is much safer in terms of balance. So why do we need to rely on 1 or 2 channels, which we can consider as tires? It's difficult, but when you have multiple tires, even if one of them is flat, you can still survive and continue your journey. So that's why we need to diversify our funding structures to mitigate financial risks which are closely related with your sustainability and with your operational efficiency. So partnership is a very effective financial channel for nonprofit organization, and it's not one way, okay? So there may be some scenarios, some projects where you include other nonprofit organizations and share the financial resources, and they can invite you to other projects where they have financial resources. And if you look at the recent grants, you will notice that almost all of them, without exception, emphasize the partnership. Okay, so nobody wants to support one single nonprofit organization. Everybody wants to support a coalition of nonprofit organizations. So if you can form a team of 20 or 100 nonprofit organizations that help each other in every single case, it's a good thing for the funders, because instead of funding one organization, they prefer to fund 20 organizations that come together, that work together to have a higher impact. Okay? So remember, this is an exchange. This is a business type of exchange between the individual donor and your organization, or the corporate sponsor and your organization, or the funder and your organization. So what is the value you offer to the funder? Bigger impact and broader society. Okay, so instead of serving 100 people in your neighborhood, you can partner with 20 organizations and serve 2,000 people instead. So this is the value that you can offer to the funder, and partnership is definitely a financial channel. Let me wrap up and summarize, okay? So individual donors, corporate sponsors, grants, social enterprise, crowdfunding, and finally, partnership. I hope you found this helpful. If you find it helpful, please subscribe and follow. Thank you.